You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm happy. No, I'm Boyd.
Yeah, you're happy. I want to welcome everyone to the Jerry Seinfeld of NFL betting podcasts. If we throw it away, it'll come back. We'll end up even.
Yeah. We went 3-0 week 1, 0-3, 0-3 week 2 and 3, and week 4 3-0.
So we're useless to you. We understand that. You can't fade us. You can't back us at this stage.
Yeah, keep fading us though, because it worked well last week.
This is true. Keep
fading us.
Yeah, we had Denver -3 winner. Oakland +3, a nail-biting winner.
Yeah, Doug. Fuck, I didn't get no fucking saucy tweets from you this week.
Well, you should have. They won and covered.
Yeah, that was fucking a little more than he was letting on, that he was like, oh, you're silly. He tweeted me after he was listening to the podcast. Before he got to the end of it, he tweeted me about, what are you talking, what game were you watching, all this shit with the Tennessee game.
Oh, okay.
And they almost fucking blew it. They're not this powerhouse that everybody thinks they are. That was my problem.
They're an above-average football team. That's what they are right now. Offensively, and I think the defense can get better. They've got the talent. I still like Oakland a fair bit. Now, I was really glad they managed to come back and cover, because we'd had a discussion on last week's pick show. You made a brilliant argument to take the Rams. That one we wouldn't even have been sweating.
No.
So at least we won on the Oakland bet. Hey, we made two good discussions. We made two. We decided each of us swayed the other one to the other side, and we were both right. So
yeah. Yeah, it worked out okay last week.
Yep, we slowed down a little bit in our picks last week, and our pick show tomorrow, we're going to do the same thing too.
Yeah.
I think in our 0-3 weeks, we both sort of had in mind what we were going with, and we didn't let the other person, sort of talk us off, or neither of us were playing devil's advocate on the games we both liked.
Well, and we liked the same games, which is always a bad sign for us, as you pointed out. When we don't have much to debate about, it never works out in our favor.
But I think last week, and we'll continue it going forward, is even when we both agree, we'll both play devil's advocate. Try to talk ourselves out of this game and see if we can find a hole.
Yeah, and the one game we both really liked was the Minnesota game, the Monday nighter.
Oh, well, we also really liked Denver too. I think a quote from you was, "Is this so easy? Like, what's wrong?" We actually, I think, brought up the notion of a fishy spread.
Well, when are you ever going to get Denver +3 again?
They were -3.
Oh, I thought they were +3. Weren't they? No,
you knew they were -3 at the time, but still, it was Tampa. And there was a lot of good talk about 2 games east on the road. Both teams, by the way, Oakland and Denver, played back-to-back road games, 2 time zones out.
Yeah.
And both came up with wins. All right.
After our previous 2 weeks, I'll take them any way I can fucking get them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and 2 of them we didn't sweat much.
No.
So we're going to gloss over a lot of games that we don't have much to say. The 2 shitty team games, we're trying to make this recap podcast faster and focus on the games that matter.
Yeah, that we bet on or reflect the standings. And you know us, we'll probably fucking take a tangent somewhere in here over some minute little thing.
But we do this every year. Our first couple of recap shows run long.
Yeah.
And then we figure out a way to tighten it up. So, you ready to get going?
Let's do it.
Okay, the Thursday Nighter. I think in our pick show, you just said, since he is home, I don't care what I'm laying, Miami is terrible. I said, I agree.
Well, that's with every Thursday
More
game.
concise analysis really couldn't come.
Yeah, Miami was awful. I think they scored the first touchdown and then did nothing after that.
And the first touchdown was on the second play from scrimmage. It was just a bomb to Kenny Stills, who didn't see another pass.
And I think Tannehill only completed 3 passes in the first half.
Well, he's got no O-line. Cincy's defense, Vontez Burfict makes a big difference.
Well, yeah, he runs the defense, so.
Yeah, getting him back. Since he's struggled a bit here, they're still a good football team, everyone. That's just the truth. I've got nothing more to say. Me, I don't watch Thursday night games.
I watched a little bit, but just on the treadmill for like half an hour. That was it. Not much to see there.
Okay. Another type of game I generally don't watch, though I did catch about 10 minutes, just enough to see garbage time Andrew Luck destroy me in a fantasy league. Well, not destroy me, but get enough for the margin of victory, which was 2.5. God, I hate London football. Who the hell knows? I mean, I think Bradley was going to get fired if he lost this game. And he tried everything he could to lose this game late.
Well, I just like that Irsay hired the GM and the head coach for 3 more years each last year, and they are in no better place than they were last year when Luck was hurt.
Pagano, both of those guys should have been fired last year. I agree 100%. But Irsay's a pill-popping, hillbilly heroin-abusing rich boy freak.
That was pretty good.
And
you need to send that. We need to timestamp that. You need to fucking record. Give me that clip, and I'm sending it to Bill Burr. He rants about it in his podcast every week of the suspension of Brady. Okay. About Irsay. Oh, that's fucking funny. That's what made me laugh. It was like I was listening to him.
Okay. Hey, I've been compared to worse.
Oh, yeah, Greg Proops.
Hey, I love Proops. All right. So, yeah. I don't have much to say about it.
But the London games aren't going away. You said you hated London games?
Yeah.
They're not going away. That game was bet on 10 times as much as any other game that was in. There's interest in England.
Yeah, and well, they have legal sports gambling, like a civilized country.
And we know that NFL ratings and everything is based on gambling.
And what they should do, like if they're moving towards it, Jacksonville goes there every year, which was why you selected them and I didn't. Your argument, basically, as I recall, was that they've been there before, they know the routines, they go there seemingly every year.
Yeah, they don't get distracted.
That was a great argument.
The sightseeing and the going out and all that shit. Who knows what the cause is? But they're weird games. Every year they come down to like this one did. Bunch of shit happening late. Teams coming from behind. You had the Detroit-Atlanta fucking shit coaches shit show the one year. They're just epic. Weird games. So.
Yeah, as good a reason. I'm still not going to bet on them. Go crazy, my limey cousins. But they should have, say, Jacksonville play half their home games in London if they want to do this. Give them a team to cheer for.
Well, you'd have to put him there you'd have to leave him over there for a month.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind that. I would be much more interested if they did it like that. Rather than just some team taking the NFL cash payout to go over there.
But nobody's going to get up for 4 straight weeks to watch a game. The novelty is, I couldn't care less.
I think they would.
Well,
I really think they would get up. You might not get the full TV viewership ratings here, but you would get enough. You would probably make the equivalent of Thursday Night Football.
And they make more money in England probably than they do per Jacksonville game advertising in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Because nobody's watching it nationally.
At this point, you're right, it's not going away. But if we're going to do it, which we are, let's figure out a plan and commit to it.
Yeah, but I don't see how they can have a team over there full-time.
They can't. They can't. Even if you do, say you do 2 weeks in a row, and then 2 weeks later in the season in a row. Like, there are options that you could do this. Let's explore it. Because this kind of half-assed way of doing it isn't the right way to do it if you want to build it.
Yeah, or like the Colts and the Jaguars play each other twice in a season. Leave them both over there for 2 weeks. Why not?
No, that's never going to happen because you don't want
why not?
two
they each
division
take a home
games.
Game.
You don't want two division games back to back. Back to back games are terrible in football. It's not like a doubleheader in baseball. The winning team never is able to change. We see this shit in the CFL. And no, back-to-back games in football are terrible. Look at the history of teams that played in the final week of the season and playoffs.
No, I know, but I'm thinking to try and get so you don't have where they're flying over and trying to. That's why you see so much shitty stuff in the games. It's like playing a Thursday night game when you have to fly over there and adjust to the time change and everything else.
Yeah,
like it's still 7:30 in the morning for these guys, and they're playing football.
Like, I don't have the answers. Obviously, I'm just acknowledging your point that it's never going away, and I'm just saying let's get some good minds on this, not the conservative brain trust that's leading to 16% down television ratings.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't know how you do it without leaving a team over there, because even if the Jaguars stayed over there for a month, every team flying in to play them's at a disadvantage. Well, so I don't know how you make it fair.
Okay, well, let's pin this one. This would be a good topic to come up with some ideas and do in the off-season.
Yeah, because these two teams stink.
Yeah. Next up.
Tangent number 1.
Next up, this game savaged us both. Oh, by the way, Boyd got that game. I didn't. Next up, a team that is reeling. Carolina went to Atlanta and absolutely got smashed.
Yeah, the game wasn't even as close as the final score.
No.
And the Carolina defense, I don't know I can't believe Josh Gordon has made that big a difference. But
either. Like
Julio Jones going for 300 yards, Ryan throwing for 500. This team was in the Super Bowl last year with almost the same defense minus Josh Gordon.
Josh Norman.
Or Norman, sorry. Josh Gordon's in rehab.
Sorry, I corrected you on that the first time. No, you're right. Obviously he's not the only problem, but I do think he would have at least held Julio to a couple of 100 yards.
Well, I mentioned this to you on Sunday. Like, when you can shut off half the field, it makes a big difference. The responsibilities of your defense change a lot.
Well, and where's the pass rush of Carolina? It's non-existent. And I don't care who you have in coverage, Revis in his prime, Norman, Patrick Peterson, name all the greats, Deion fucking Sanders. If you are getting no rush, and you are leaving a clean pocket, no coverage guy can hold it. None. Not a one.
No. I didn't watch
that run game of Atlanta is for real this year. We dismissed it last year, and we were mostly proven right that Freeman could not sustain this. But between Coleman and Freeman, and Coleman left with some kind of injury. I haven't heard anything about it. But between the two of them, that threat of the run game is backing off the pass rush. And Matt Ryan is in that perfect zone of, call him Hasselbeck in his best years in Seattle. Give him a clean pocket, some good receivers. He looked great.
Well, a good receiver. I don't know who else he was throwing to other than Jones.
Well, the backs. He's using Tammy a bit out of the tight end, which is kind of brand new.
And they've got Sanu from Cincinnati, but other than that, I don't know what they have.
But the nice thing about Sanu is that the safety can't cheat that wildly, because that leaves him one-on-one. Sanu, the safety can't just come up on Julio. Because Sanu is good enough to burn you occasionally.
Yeah, but how Jones went from one catch the week before to fucking like 20 for 300 or whatever he had.
That's because they didn't need him, and that's why I think Atlanta might be for real and scary.
Yeah, you mentioned this to me before, but we were definitely
and
wrong in
Julio
Atlanta.
after the one catch was like, "What's winning? I don't care.
Yeah.
I can catch 0 catches, but if you put a safety over top of me, put a linebacker and a corner on me, that means someone else is open."
Yeah. So
we were totally wrong. I bet this game individually on the wrong side.
Me too. Missed an 8-team tease by that fucking game.
I might have done the same with the 7. I'll have to the other game I fucked up on was the Jets. But anyway, it's interesting, and what we're going to have to be careful about is not overreacting to this.
No, I know.
This game next week. I'm just giving us a warning right now. Okay. Next game up. Cleveland plus 8.5 at Washington. Washington got a late cover. I don't think they deserved it.
Well, I think the Browns were up 20-17 at the start of the third quarter, like early in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the replay of the phantom fumble?
Yeah. Or the fumble was real, but how when the guy comes out of it, do they announce that he wrestled it away from the other guy at the bottom of a pile?
And did you see the explanation from the NFL?
No, I haven't seen that.
Because the ruling on the field was Washington ball. They looked at the tape in real time, or looked at the tape, didn't have to stop the game. They looked at the tape from several angles, couldn't determine who came away with the ball conclusively, and so the call would have stood. So the call stands. That's why they didn't stop the game to review it.
It's this kind of bullshit that's hurting the NFL.
Like the guy usually when the guy comes
when
out
there's
of the
a pile. Yeah, the last guy holding the ball, because, this is the stuff of football myth and legend, is what goes on in those piles. But the guy who comes out with it usually gets awarded the ball.
Yeah. And they were still unpiling the bodies, and Duke Johnson comes out of the pile holding the ball up, and the ref's pointing down for Washington's possession. I'm like, What the fuck?
So, okay. So what they're saying is somehow a linebacker for Washington achieved possession on the ground and was down. And that...
But the ref didn't even know where the ball was when he was pointing for Washington.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, even then, that's absurd, because we see these piles. A guy can hold it for a quarter second, which I would call down. Like, you'll see it in slow-mo. A guy scoops the ball in, has possession for a quarter second, and a guy comes and punches it out, and then it's a scrum. Like, this just reeks crooked.
And if you haven't seen it, it's going to be on our website Tuesday. It'll be today. If you're listening to it Tuesday, it's on our website in today's post. Because I couldn't fucking believe it. I didn't see anything about it last night. And saw it today, and I just went, that's fucking ridiculous.
And if the NFL is wondering why things are crumbling, it's this shit. This looks like bad officiating with an agenda.
Yeah, it's not good.
And every game, there's always 2 or 3 brutal calls that are nonsensical.
And
they
some
talk
of them
about the 100 guys or 50 guys in a bar. No, you're missing that terribly low standard. Like, could your standard be much lower for an acceptable thing? Obviously, fans of a certain team are always going to see something different. But you get 50 guys to watch it who don't have a rooting or gambling interest. What's the right call? They're missing that 8 out of 10 fucking times.
Yeah.
That said, we both had Washington, so we got this game, and we still have Cleveland bet under 4.5, which is very much in jeopardy. They do not look inept. They don't look apt yet, but they do not look inept.
Can they go 4-8 over their last 12? That's only, or 5-7, I should say. That's what they have to get to. I can't see them that close to 500.
No, it's going to be tough.
Yet.
So we'll take this loss, this bullshit. Well, I guess we need true wins. I still think Cleveland got fucking jobbed here.
They still would have lost. They might not have covered, but they lost. So we just need losses. I don't care if they cover, don't cover, just lose, baby.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, this was a game we considered, and if it wasn't for the Boyd-imposed we must bet an underdog, we probably would have been on this side. So, great concept, Boyd. Detroit, -3 at Chicago. They lose fucking outright. They looked awful.
Well, part of it is the injuries to their defense.
Yes.
And they're still within a field. They lost by a field goal.
Yeah.
And I can't see Hoyer having the game he had if their defense is remotely healthy.
No, Ziggy Ansah is a huge loss. The fact that they have no linebackers to play is terrible. But what really hurt them was, I believe, both of Stafford's brutal picks were terribly run routes, like miscommunication with the receivers. One by Golden Tate, one by Eric Ebron. The Eric Ebron one, it was undoubtedly that, because Stafford was screaming at him, screaming at the coaching staff. He went up instead of curling. And, you know, I was seeing the highlights, and I'm going, this is not on Stafford.
Well, it is at the end of the year. Nobody will remember what happened in week 4. So.
Oh, I know. But, you know, and every quarterback accepts that that's going to happen 3 times a year.
But it happens too much with Ebron.
I think he's a meathead. He's turning into Kobe Fleener, was what I said to you when we were prepping this podcast. He looks like Kobe Fleener. He's just a moron. He was performing well this year. Maybe he can shake it off, but this has been 3 years now of him not learning the playbook.
And the only reason he's still in Detroit is because they wasted a first-round pick on him.
Yeah.
Or he'd be cut already if he was a third or fourth rounder. They wouldn't keep him.
Yeah, and there's talent there. I mean, the Chargers spent a pretty high draft pick on Hunter Henry this year, and he fumbled at the end of that Indy game. But I look at him running routes, and I look at Ebron, and I'm going, who's the rookie and who's the guy in his third year?
Yeah.
Hunter Henry already looks like a primetime player. I mean, it could all stall, but it's route running for a tight end. And the ability to block. Ebron might as well not be on the field as a blocker. And his route running is terrible.
Yeah, and I think that Hooper from Atlanta is going to be good too. That's going to open up Julio Jones even more once he gets a few more games under his belt. He had a touchdown against Carolina.
Mm-hmm. So did Tammy. I mean, suddenly they've got a wealth of tight ends. And I've been very negative about Kyle Shanahan in the past. He's putting together something pretty impressive there.
Yeah.
Okay. So your rule kept us off that game. Bravo. Next up was a game we won. We were both wrong in Detroit. I still think Chicago's abysmal, but Detroit's in trouble too. And you really think this time Caldwell's job can be saved?
No. There's no Calvin Johnson there to...
And do you think they'll promote Cooter to head coach interim?
Probably.
Yeah, that's my prediction, and it'll happen in the next 3 weeks.
You think we could promote Cooter to fucking Tennessee, take over for Malarkey? Yeah. I'll get into that shit show later.
Yeah, that's coming up. This is a game we won and bet on. Baltimore was +3, or Oakland was +3 at Baltimore.
I thought we were done. When the Titans game ended, it was 27-22 for the Ravens, and I shut off the TV and fucking, 7 in a row is horrible. But I came home, hey, they won. But it's like, didn't see any of this game. See, my strategy for watching games this year is for free, and which limits anything I can watch. So there's no flipping around during games or anything, so I miss everything.
And I've gone to the NFL Red Zone package with Hansen. I didn't realize Siciliano does it for DirecTV.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that in the States, that the DirecTV guys get different, until Drew McGarry mentioned how good he was at doing it. That means there are 2 fucking awesome guys doing it, because Hansen's fucking brilliant. Just brilliant at running the best guy with a remote you've ever seen. So, yeah, and then I'll have that and an alternate thing, and I'll watch a game if I'm interested, but we get nothing but Seattle here.
Yeah, and some shitty... Well, what did we get on Sunday? We had Dallas. I watched Dallas 49ers.
Terrible.
Bucks Broncos were on. But that game was over.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of Broncos games, which makes sense. It's actually the only team in our time zone.
Oh, and Detroit, we get a lot of their games too.
Well, that's because you have time shift. I even dumped that fucking cable ripoff. I've got 6 tuners on my PVR. I can wait.
It worked. It worked for me with the Titans-Lions game, though.
Fair enough.
But no, this...
Baltimore is still... Like, at 3-0, I thought they were absolute frauds. They were a little better. Steve Smith, Sr., like, I would drug test him. There's no way a man of that age should come back from his injuries the way he did. But he looks fucking great, and I would never say a bad word to his face. Ever.
Well, and if anybody wants to wonder about steroids and HGH and everything, look at the amount of Achilles injuries that are happening in the NFL now. Tendons can't support the weight these guys are putting on, and they just fucking snap. It's happening all over the league. It's happening in basketball. Just, there's something going on.
Oh, yeah, we've said that before.
Do you remember in the 80s? Was there any... How many Achilles injuries was there?
The first bad Achilles injury I ever saw on a football field was Dan Marino. Because it was rare. It was just super strange that a guy's Achilles just popped. Yeah,
from not doing anything. Like, just... It's not like they're getting hit and the Achilles is snapping.
And I don't think Dan Marino was on steroids,
no.
But I'm just giving him as an example. Like, you asked me, how often did you see it? That was really the first time. And... what it also does, though, is these guys are back in under a year.
Yeah.
So,
but there's no questions asked about that.
I still think Baltimore is fraudulent. Oakland has a terrible defense. It's going to be a struggle for them. I still think they're a team up. We said in the preseason 1 year too early to really buy into this team. But they got most of the pieces. Yeah. And I do think the defense will get better over this season.
Well, I hope
they
so.
They integrated a whole bunch of free agents. I don't think it's worked. They were missing a couple of players early. They're not getting any pressure. But it all seems fixable to me. I still like Oakland, but... they're just chasing Denver.
No, this is an example of us talking the other into it. So thank you. Although it was somewhat reluctantly, because it was it was the Rams. It was Fisher and the Rams or this game.
Yeah.
So
we were both
I went
right.
with this game just because of the Raiders' ability to score.
Your worry was when you originally had Baltimore on this pick.
Was the travel.
Yeah, exactly. And they've proven something there pretty good. That's not easy to play 2 morning time slots in back-to-back weeks.
No, flying across the country twice. No, that's good. But that Tennessee game sticking in my craw with them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't... I know Doug disagrees with me, but they did not. They ran the ball fairly well against us. The passing game was nothing in the second half. So it still worries me a little when they have to face a good defense. Like when they play Denver twice this year. I don't know who else they play. Kansas City Chargers.
Well, they haven't played a good defense yet, have they?
Well, Tennessee.
They had New Orleans. Oh, yeah, Tennessee.
We got 17. Nothing in the second half.
That was in Tennessee, too, as well.
Yeah. But it's the trademark of the Titan defense this year. They give up no points in the second half.
Well, that's our next game up, so why don't you expound? We both, by the way, obviously had Oakland right on that, and we cashed $10, paid $20. We didn't even have to absorb the VIG there.
No.
Next game up, Tennessee +5 at Houston. I had Houston, you had Tennessee.
Now, they're just finding ways to lose games now. Just lost. The defense gave up no points again in the second half, as I mentioned earlier. Special teams touchdown, punt return for a touchdown. Will Fuller, the 5 on his jersey. Whatever the fuck that means. He's like 22. How's there 5 of them? George Foreman? Anyway. No, the game opened up and the Texans used their tight ends fucking brilliantly. Scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Primarily just using the tight end to go down the field. Mixed in with a few Lamar Miller runs. After that, after LeBeau figured out what was going on, they did nothing. 2 field goals, one at the end of the first half, which we gave them, on a pass interference call on a 4th down play.
Legit or not?
Well, you said you thought it was a little ticky-tacky. You saw it.
I said it was Oh, yeah, okay. I remember. We were talking at the time, and I said I thought it was ticky-tacky, but legit.
Well, it didn't even look like he hit him. It looked like his arm came up in front of him, and he didn't even hit him. But anyway, that set up a field goal. So it's 20-17 at the half. And we get down, I think, to the 6 or 7 or first or second possession of the third quarter. Kick a field goal, tie the game. Okay, things are looking all right. And then we gave up a fucking... And we were talking, was it a line drive kick? We had nobody downfield.
Well, yeah, I still
10 guys on
the
field.
Have you looked out of the game?
No.
Because I'm still curious as to how... Like, I assume there was no hang time. Like, I was a little bit ahead of you because of the way you're sourcing the game. But I cannot understand how there was no one at any point within 5 yards of the returner.
No. But that being said, we still couldn't score in the fourth quarter. We got down...
Mariota did not look good.
No, it's the same shit all the time. Late in the fourth quarter, he'll put together a decent drive, but it always comes down to a 4th down play.
He doesn't look good. He looked better throwing on the run last year.
But
why is he now scampering out? And when he throws on the run, look at his goddamn feet, though. His feet aren't even on the ground. He's trying to bring his arm across his body against the grain without even having 1 foot on the fucking ground.
No, I know.
He looks like Doug goddamn Flutie out there.
The pick he threw was brutal. Walker was open. He was throwing on the run, but he tried, like you said, he turned his body, threw across his body, or backwards almost.
With no feet on the ground.
No, I know.
He looked like fucking Flutie. And you know how much of an insult I think that is.
But we have no receivers that can get open downfield. Ever. We don't even take a shot.
Well, this is malarkey. He's got the imagination of a group of building blocks.
We have no speed. You can't... We hit Rashard Matthews for 1. That was more of a busted coverage for like a 60-yard pass play. But we don't have anyone to just soften up the deep, just to even give him a threat of chucking it deep. So when he holds on, and I was screaming this into the phone when we were talking, oh, fuck, he hangs on to the ball too long. And the announcers are talking about he has to have a better internal clock. But when you load up, when you go 4 wideouts, and there's not a single person open, what the fuck's he supposed to do? Because every route is 8 to 15 yards. And you don't think the defenses know that? That they can't beat us deep? So they can play up on every fucking play? It's killing us. Ted Ginn would be a godsend in Tennessee. Just fucking run him down the sideline 3-4 plays in a drive. Just to loosen things up. But everybody's sucked up on our receivers because they know it's going to be a 6-yard slant or a 10-yard curl or something.
And I assume none of them can shake, bump, and run at the line. So they're... Okay. So this is making a little more sense to me.
It's the biggest problem we have. We're running the ball like Malarkey said he wanted to run the ball.
Yeah.
And we're getting great production out of DeMarco Murray, and we're wasting it. He had 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good out of in the screen game.
I was about to say he was catching passes.
Nothing. We're getting nothing out of our wide receivers. And when the wide receivers give no threat, Delaney Walker can't get open. Because they can fucking focus on him because the corners can cover one-on-one. Because we're no threat to go deep at all. So how do you loosen up the defense so you can hit something underneath for 15 yards? There's nothing open.
Well, there's got to be someone available out there. If that's your issue, I think the bigger issue is Malarkey is in far over his head. I'm worrying now that you are breaking Mariota.
Whoever had Rashard Matthews as the receiver you want to sign in free agency, I don't see it. He doesn't have speed. They need speed on the outside. This is the one position Tennessee had been a fan for fucking 40 years. They have never drafted well at wide receiver, ever.
Tajay Sharp, by the way, I don't write him off.
I'm not writing him, but he's a possession receiver.
He's a rookie with no fucking speed, yes. No speed.
We have no speed. Like, you can't soften up a defense when you don't have any threat of going 25 yards down the field.
Yeah, you're right. The smash mouth football only works if you've got the ability to go over the top.
Like, play action, like when your running back goes for 95 yards on 25 carries, play action should be effective. Play action doesn't even loosen it up. Because they're covering everybody man to man for the most part. And we cannot get open for anything to soften it up. It's frustrating as fuck. Like, when we were down 17-3, I thought the game was over. We just don't have the offense to score quickly. And I didn't look at the final stats, but I'm almost positive we outpossessed them. We just have no big play capabilities at all unless it comes out of the running game. So what defense is scared of that?
Yeah. I mean, the model would be something like Denver or Minnesota, where you have a shutdown defense in the second half, but you've got to have a threat. And take Denver out. Because Minnesota, as much as I love Stephon Diggs, doesn't really have that threat either. But they've got just enough of a threat.
Well, yeah, Diggs can go 25 yards and be open.
Yep.
Where Tennessee does not have that. I was hoping with Kendall Wright coming back, they may be a little better in the receiving game. Not at all. Not at all. We used to have Justin Hunter could stretch the field. We cut him.
That said, it was the special teams that let you down.
Yes, but you still got to score. Like,
we put up 20.
Yeah, but that's the most we've put up in a game.
And that's kind of 24 or 28 is your ceiling as the Titans right now.
Right. 20's the ceiling. That's the most we've got. There's no... I don't care what... You could have a breakdown in one area at one time. Why... Like, I'm saying the special teams cost us this week, but your offense should be good enough to cover.
You this week. Well, we got to move on a bit here.
Fuck.
You made your point. I'm just worried about Mariota's long term with a moronic coaching staff.
Well, but when you have no receivers, what the fuck good's a quarterback?
Yeah. Okay. Next up, this game was off the board. We both took Seattle. I believe they ended up as 1.5-point favorites. Wow, they crushed the Jets. I actually teased the Jets up here and still didn't get it. Didn't see much of it. Fitzpatrick got through the first half without a disaster, and then I think he's done. I think he's broken.
Well, yeah. What are you doing to put in Geno Smith?
Okay, we talk about quarterbacks a lot without coaches, but Fitzpatrick's a fine enough quarterback until the game matters when he has Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall at full speed.
Yeah, but Decker's out. Decker was out.
You pull those fuckers out of there, Fitzpatrick looks like a worse version of Hoyer. He's not even smart. He's just terrible. He believes he can throw the top guys, but he has
a brain. He has a brain that thinks he can do whatever he wants, and he gets outside of himself sometimes, I think.
Yep.
He's too smart for his own good, for his physical limitations.
His brain refuses to accept that he is not Brett Favre. He cannot throw that window. So, Seattle and the Jets' defense, I thought, was disappointing. A hobble to Russell Wilson just tore them apart. Another year without the playoffs, Jets.
All the angst over whether they should re-sign Fitzpatrick or not, and Brandon Marshall and all those guys lobbying for him to sign, and it's like, I don't get it. I watched him for 8-10 games in Tennessee, and it was until you needed him to make a play, he could make plays. But when you needed him to make that one play, he would fuck it up. Okay,
I read a long piece about Brandon Marshall recognizing what a terrible asshole he was early in his life, or early in his career, anyway. I think now he's just obligated to support whatever quarterback he has. We saw this with Cutler. He's my brother. We saw it with that. And good for him. I mean, I like the fact that he wrote an apology letter to many of the people he fucked over in Denver and Miami. I like that. I like Brandon Marshall. I want him to do well. But now his knee-jerk reaction is to always support his quarterback.
Oh, which you kind of have to publicly, I guess.
Yeah, he does it stridently, and good for him. But, all right, the next game. Dave and I at work, we always do like a 7-team parlay, which we've never won on. But he wanted New England in this, and I just said, really? We want to pay a terrible price to back a team where we don't even know who the quarterback is. That said, you and I both took New England.
Well, they'd beaten everybody else with the fucking shitty quarterbacks, or I shouldn't say Garoppolo looks pretty good, but Brissett. And it's not like the Patriots' defense is okay, but you need to score more than 0 points to win.
No, and like the big win of their 3-0 was Arizona. And I think we're starting to see that Arizona ain't right.
I think the win against Houston was better than the Arizona win.
Probably, but yeah. Nevertheless, I mean, 3-1, hell of an achievement, considering what they did. But I'm just going to say right now, I'm staying away from any New England bet for the next 3 weeks. Because this team doesn't have a fuck of a lot of talent.
Yeah, but they have the most important piece coming back. The Brady will make all that offense. The reason they weren't playing. No, but the reason they weren't playing Gronk is why get him hurt.
Oh, exactly. But they were 6.5 point favorites without a quarterback. The line is going to be skewed.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying we're going to bet them, but they're going to cruise now.
I think so too. I mean, I think they're at the worst a 12-4 team.
That's what I was going to say. 13-3, 12-4.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised.
Terrifying 13-3, 12-4.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Denver Patriots AFC Championship game again.
Would not shock me.
They look like the two best teams. Like, just New England's defense is good. Like, you have to give them a lot of credit. But for what they had on offense, shut out the Texans.
Yeah, all right.
Beat Arizona
how many defenses shut out a team per year? It's rare. That's a great point.
And they have enough talent on defense. They're not going to be on the field as much with Brady quarterbacking. And for those of you with Julian Edelman in your fantasy, get ready. He's going to start putting up the numbers like he normally does. And they'll just dink and dunk you down the field. Somehow that offense works for them. Tennessee can't figure it out like that. I don't know. All that shit I was talking about, Tennessee, no threat. When's New England had a threat? Other than Gronkowski down the field.
Holy fuck, that's hilarious. You're fucking right. Except for the Randy Moss years.
And except for Tom Brady, who's probably the best quarterback I've ever seen.
And Belichick's the best coach I've ever seen.
Yeah, so.
All right. I do not want to go anywhere near their games for the next 3 weeks. Let's let this dust settle. Okay, next up, we have another. We both had New England and lost, by the way. I think I mentioned that at the top of that little segment. Next game up, we did not hesitate on pulling the trigger on Denver -3 at Tampa Bay. Interesting point of this game to me was Trevor Siemian left late in the first or early in the second with a shoulder injury, which cost me fantasy because I had Denver stacked. Paxton Lynch came in, looked terrible at times, looked good at times. They're adequate. Even with Lynch in there, he was not much worse than what they put out as starters last year.
That's what I was going to say. There's nothing's changed with this team. Don't turn the ball over, and our defense will control the game.
Yeah.
And the most interesting point to me was this was the second week in a row the Buccaneers had to have a game delayed because of weather.
Well, yeah, and I originally heard they scheduled the games in September late to avoid thunderstorms. And maybe coastal thunderstorms are different than interior thunderstorms?
They are.
They are? Do they come in usually early?
Well, they come in quick.
No, but do they come in early in the day?
Yeah, it's usually like when I've been in Florida, it'll be like noon to 2 Eastern.
Okay, so that's the plan. That's why these Tampa Bay home games are scheduled in the afternoon slot. Whereas here, in the center of the continent, thunderstorms tend to roll in much later in the day.
And there's a big hurricane blowing off the coast of Florida, too, which may have influenced it. Like it's hit Jamaica, the Haiti, and then that. And the bubble extends for the rain and that extends to the coast of Florida. So that may have influenced it a bit, but it's just weird that you have two. You hardly see it in a season where they have to stop a game because of weather, and we've had two in back-to-back weeks.
Well, it's only lightning, and I've got no problem with them stopping.
Oh, no, me either, but I'm just saying, you'd hardly ever see it.
No.
And we had it in back-to-back weeks.
Though the lawyers have probably said, all right,
Well,
but in any case, I just want to say, Denver's defense, I don't know why they give up one early touchdown. And then nothing.
Well, I think you have a good defensive coordinator that can make adjustments on the fly. It's like I'm talking about with Tennessee.
Not a good one, by the way. A great one.
Yeah, but they can make it. Okay, you might get them on the first drive or two, But once they figure out what you're doing, they just take it away, and then you're fucked.
Yep.
It's what LeBeau's doing in Tennessee. They don't have the
Wade
talent
Phillips, Jim Schwartz. Yeah.
They just can figure it out.
Right now, we've cashed Denver, I think, twice in the first 4 weeks, maybe 3 times. No, we can't have cashed it 3 times because we went and.
Yeah, twice.
Right now, until they start fading the touchdown, this is a horse I want to ride. I made that same pun last week.
I'm thinking Vegas ate their shorts on that one.
I haven't seen Walter Football will actually put up the highest bet games.
Yeah.
In Vegas. He didn't have it up yet tonight, and I'm always curious.
Because
this was a public fucking favorite that usually we subscribe to this philosophy, fade the public. Not in this one. We didn't hesitate. You actually said, how can it be this easy? All right.
Yeah, there was something skewed it, but I don't know what.
And
because
by the way,
okay,
so Denver lost their starting quarterback early. It didn't really even slow down that offense, by the way. Well, Sanders caught another 6 balls for 80 yards. Demaryius Thomas wasn't shut out. And I think kind of what you were saying, don't turn the ball over. What looked horrible from Paxton Lynch when he threw it into the dirt might have just been turnover reverse.
Yeah. But Denver is missing nothing over what they had last year at quarterback.
No. And Ware is out on the pass rush, and they lost Trevathan. They lost some good players on defense. Doesn't look any worse. Talib will get beat, but he'll also take a pick 6 from you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would take
Chris
that
Harris,
from him.
by the way, Chris Harris is the undersung fucking player in the league. You never hear his name because they never go. All right.
Let's keep rolling.
Next up, we both had Dallas in this game. We kind of considered it. Dallas -3 at San Francisco. Don't be deceived by the score. This was Dallas's game all the way. They were -3. They won 24-17.
Yeah, I had this game on with no sound on. And from what I saw in the second half, it was the Ezekiel Elliott show. That offensive line is... It looks like when they had DeMarco Murray there 2 years ago.
Well... And they weren't as dominating as they were 2 years ago. But
the holes he was getting in the
groove.
Second half? Fuck me. They're humongous. Like, they've had guys blocked into the second level into the linebackers. It was impressive.
Against
I don't know what...
an unimpressive squad.
Yes, but I don't know what they're going to do when Romo comes back.
I keep Prescott in, to be honest.
Prescott hasn't thrown a pick. Longest stretch for a rookie to start his career. 131 passes.
Well, he and the Philly guy, they're just dueling now. They both are standing that record.
It's crazy to see. Like,
and of course, Philly was on the bye, so he couldn't extend his streak.
Yeah.
It's a pretty kind of cool record. Yeah, it's the Niners, and it seems like Chip Kelly is more concerned about not looking bad than winning games.
Well, he's got Blaine Gabbert as quarterback.
Yeah.
He's kind of handcuffed. Like, I know Bradford wasn't great in Philly, but he's still better than Gabbert. And that team's a mess. Like, I brought up the Achilles. Navarro Bowman's out for the year with a snapped Achilles.
Yep.
And
now they're in real trouble.
They've lost so much talent on defense in the last couple of years that it's like they went from one of the best defenses in football to now being just adequate. And it's nothing they did. It was mostly retirements. And I wouldn't be surprised. Do you think Bowman's going to come back again? Like, he's missed 2 out of the last 3 years.
Depends what his insurance policy is.
Yeah. But
depends how much he needs the money. That's the only question there.
At some point, you got to think, fuck, a knee and an Achilles. And your team has no shot at winning anything. And they make no trades in the NFL, so what do you do?
But don't forget, a lot of these players ultimately just say, what else am I going to do?
True.
I'll take the knee, I'll take the Achilles. His brain ain't rattled.
But let's just say the 49ers front office looks like fucking fools for pushing Harbaugh out.
Yeah, because I'm serious. I look at these Kelly games, and against Seattle, yeah, let's establish the run late to put points on the board. This looks like the classic, let's avoid the shutout, let's make the score look good for my resume bullshit. And you're not trying to win.
And Harbaugh has taken Michigan to the top 3 in 2 years.
Yeah.
In Michigan, so that move still makes no sense to me at all.
Well, hey, you got an owner like mine. That would easily happen. Anyway, next up, this was a game. We both had Dallas there, by the way. This was a game you advocated strongly for our underdog pick. They won outright. It was never in doubt. Great fucking analysis, because I was originally on Zona at home here. You swayed me, not enough to make me bet it. I'm glad we avoided the problem with that. But Arizona's in a lot of trouble. That's mainly what I want to talk about. The Rams they're like a second-tier level of the Vikings and the Broncos.
Well, yeah, but we see what defenses do to good offenses. That bet's in jeopardy for us. The Buccaneers bet's fucking over for us.
Yeah.
Our preseason bets. We had the Rams under 6.5. They're halfway there already.
And they're not going to go away.
No, that defense isn't going away. Like, okay, maybe Keenum doesn't have the talent of, say, Simeon, or he doesn't have the weapons. Let's put it that way.
He doesn't have the weapons. I don't think Simeon's particularly talented. He probably is Case Keenum in an alternate universe.
But you put they've got Tavon Austin and Kenny Britt as receivers. I don't even know who their tight end is in LA. And Gurley's not doing anything because they know the quarterback's not going to beat him, yet they're 3-1.
But he's affecting the game plan. That's what Gurley's doing.
Yeah, but they still, what are they exploiting
winning,
with it?
Right?
Yeah, no, I know, but they're not exploiting anything with it. It's the defense is winning them the games.
Yeah.
So this looks like classic Fisher when he was in Tennessee.
Eddie George.
Keep the games to within a score and grind it out on defense, control the clock, and pound the shit out of the other team. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, next up, we have a little piece of misery. The Chargers now have had double-digit leads 3 times in the fourth quarter. We are 1-2. I thought the Chiefs game was the worst, where we had a 99.5% winning chance. No, we had a 99.9% winning chance. 6 minutes left, up 13 points.
I couldn't believe you lost that game. I looked at the score, I'm like, oh, fuck. Because they went to it at the end after the Cowboys game ended, they gave us bonus coverage of that game. And I saw the pick at the end of the game. I'm just
the pick's irrelevant. It was 4th
No, I know.
21.
I'm just saying at the end. I saw.
You know what? The Chargers are a good fucking team. Let's bring up the point that most teams do not have double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. It's just a bizarre confluence of events. Melvin Gordon, who had a brilliant game, makes one of the weakest fumbles I've ever seen, by the way. He just fucking dropped it. That's all there is to it. No one came in with a fucking tomahawk. No one punched it out from underneath. He just dropped the ball.
So.
Benjamin, he's a fine, above average thing. Oh, I'm going to fumble. And I knew after the first fumble, I just said, here we go again. Robert Mays at the Ringer he just wrote, the Chargers are rewriting misery.
Well, can I bring up something I just realized? The Chargers are mirroring your fantasy team.
Oh, you think that thought hadn't occurred to me? This is exactly what's happening to me. I'm sitting here waiting for the hammer to come on anything. Like, it's impossible to feel joy. But the Chargers, by the way, are pretty fucking good. We should be...
Well, you could be 3-0, 2-1 to be fair, but 3-0 is realistic.
No.
Or 3-1.
3-1 is realistic. And we got screwed on that Indy PI call. It's just the defense played 55 minutes of great fucking football. And then they were given 2 short fields, so what are they going to do against Drew Brees and the Saints, who still can score? I just knew it was coming. It was just, I'm standing here on the tracks, the light's getting bigger and bigger. I know the train's going to hit. I have nothing to say except that this Chargers team is good. The defense is not bad. By the way, if you give them a full field, we're getting turnovers, we're getting sacks, we're getting all those things that have been missing for 3 years. But we find brand new, exciting ways to lose.
Yeah, I don't like a 1-3 team like the Titans, but I'd rather be 1-3 where I am now than how your guys are losing.
My team's a fuck of a lot better than the Titans.
Oh, I know they are, but I'm just saying the record's the same, and you've lost heartbreakingly 3 times.
Well, and this is this happened last year too. Like, the Pythagorean had the Chargers like 4 wins higher. This year, right now, we should be 3-1. No one's beaten us badly. All of our losses, as you said, mirroring my fucking fantasy team, which no one fucking cares about. All of my losses are microscopic.
I'm just saying, from a fan standpoint, I'd rather lose how the Titans are. Well,
no, but here's the great thing. Being a Chargers fan for so long, I'm numb to it. I didn't get upset. I'm just, I
haven't thrown
Chargers
a hat.
Piss away another fucking double-digit lead in fourth quarter. Yeah, I knew that was coming. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Oh, how's my gambling doing?
Well, I'm just wondering where the Titans are in the top 5, where they're going to pick this year.
Oh, well, we'll see. And here's the great thing about your Titans is, at 1-3, you could win the South.
Well, we would have been in first place if we pulled that game out.
1-3, you can win the South. 1-3 means I'm done in the West.
Yeah, and you're done in the wild card too.
Yeah. Done.
Well, unless you go on a run like Kansas City did last year, then you can pull it out.
It's possible, and by the way, the team is still good. I mean, if Bosa ever gets on the fucking field, it would have been nice to have a training camp. We could work through these hammy injuries, and, maybe after being pissed on by Dean Spanos, he's not working real hard, and when they test his hammy, it's like, oh, that's a little tender.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because when the ownership pisses on a fucking player, the player will come back. Fuck you, Dean Spanos. I win for shitty owner.
No, you don't.
Oh, long term I will. Long term I will. Anyway, next up. It's a good Chargers team. When they're dogs, take them. When they're favorites, fuck them. Gambling advice. Next up, we have... by the way, you took San Diego in that game, which looked good. Looked good till about 6 minutes left in the fourth. I had New Orleans +4. I got that one. Next up, a game we both agreed on. KC +5.5 at Pittsburgh. We didn't really hesitate much on this one. We both liked Pitts.
Yeah, we could have bet this one too, other than the Monday nighter, but
yeah. And we had a favorite. We were looking for a second favorite. I bet this one individually. Worked out.
We have Roethlisberger.
Our KC bet, by the way, I think is officially done now too.
Yeah, well, with Broncos at 4-0, yeah.
And KC looking hapless.
Yeah. When do they get rid of Andy Reid? Oh, I guess they got to get.
Let's see if he goes on another 11-0 run.
Well, you got to see with Charles back to some. They played him a little bit. I didn't even see him on the field, but I guess in that kind of field, why would you? I don't even know why he was active.
Exactly. I would never. I would have put him in street clothes. I agree with you.
But
on
Steelers,
a fucking quagmire, which the Steelers always miraculously pull out when.
Oh, well, this wasn't miraculous. It was 22-0 at the end of the first quarter.
No, I just mean their shitty field.
Yeah.
They love making people play in a fucking pigsty.
Well, are you saying that they control the weather now, too?
No, I'm saying they control the drainage on the field.
Oh.
Why can't that be better?
And they showed... Did you see Rooney? One of the Rooney sitting in the box?
No.
I think there might be something wrong with his mental capabilities. He didn't look good.
Good.
My wife goes, "Who's that?"
Yeah, but...
I said, "Oh, it's one of the Rooney brothers. I don't know which one." I said, "One of them's the ambassador to Ireland, but I don't know which one was sitting in the box." He did not look like he was even aware he was at a football game.
By the way, as far as I know, they are still in violation of the league's ownership structure, like your Titans.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say just like the Titans.
Yeah, so...
Who cares? Fuck, yeah, I don't even know what that matters.
They thrashed KC. It was hilarious. Delightful for me on every level. I want to bet on it, I guess.
My favorite part of that game was the missed field goal when you're down 29-0 at the end of the first half.
Well,
instead of throwing a Hail Mary. And I know, but my reasoning was not fantasy related. It was just it's raining as hard as it rained the whole game. You're down 4 touchdowns, and you're trying a field goal. And I guess you can make the argument that, well, Seattle, if had a kicked a field goal, would have made a difference against Carolina last year and all that shit. But most teams don't come back from 29-0 unless you get something to get you going into the half with some positivity. It's like a torrential downpour. They snap the ball, the holder fumbles it, and with a clean snap, it's probably good. But my whole reasoning for not kicking the field goal was you're down 29. What's 26 mean?
That's just breaking the shutout, and that's bullshit. And like Shelley even laughed, like she was visiting her dad in the hospital and likes to amuse him, and just said, "Yeah, I needed one field goal for fantasy." And so Casey got down so fast, they never even looked at a field goal. Like, she didn't see that. And that's the natural and proper way to do it. Why would you ever kick a field goal down 4 touchdowns? Why would you ever do it?
Well, especially with 8 seconds left in the half. It made no sense. None. My plan would be throw a 10-yard out and then throw a lob one into the end zone and try and get lucky. That's enough to turn the momentum a little bit, give you some juice going into the locker room. You kick a field goal and you're down 26.
Yeah, I suppose you're within 4 unanswered touchdowns, even though you're giving up. Anyway, yeah, I won a bet. And our final game of the week, I didn't see a bit of this. I was out for dinner. We didn't hesitate much on this either. Minnesota -4.5 at home facing the Giants.
Now, and you asked, I watched a lot of this game tonight because we had money on it and my fantasy was riding on this game in both leagues. Which, how does that happen? That I have a Vikings tight end and I'm playing the Vikings defense and I need something to happen. The Giants' whole game plan was to keep Eli Manning upright. So every pass was thrown in under 2 seconds, pretty much. 8, 10-yard passes. Beckham was a non-factor. Their only good play was to Paul Perkins, a screen pass for about 70 yards that set up their only touchdown. Minnesota's defense is for real. That home field advantage is for real, especially with that defense. They set a stat during the game. The Giants, the first 2 weeks of the season, had 7 penalties combined for 2 games. They had 11 last week against Washington. First drive, they had 3 penalties. 2 false starts.
Yeah, noise penalties.
And then one was illegal hands to the face or some fucking thing like that. But it was just, the noise is for real. That defense is for real. If they get home field in the playoffs, it's going to be as hard to win there as it was in Seattle.
Denver, Minnesota is not, and you know Goodell will get the officiating to try to get the high-scoring teams involved. See, this is why I think NFL is down. Because you know he wants score, score, score.
Yeah, but you still need a defense.
Defense wins championships. It's a cliche and it doesn't always work. But you saw Seattle beat the fuck out of the Broncos when they had no defense.
Well, that's why we took Denver last year.
Yeah, and we bet Seattle hard in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And when it was the other way around, we bet Denver hard.
And we did it, the Giants' second Super Bowl against the Patriots. We bet the Giants.
Yep.
So we're consistent on that with the defense in the big games.
And as long as you can talk me off trying to hedge this is where we get fucked up money-wise, is me wanting to hedge because I'm a pussy.
Take the defense. In the big games, defense, that's where that saying came from. Defense travels.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. As long as they're relatively healthy, a defense doesn't just generally fall apart in the postseason. It just doesn't happen. Offenses can be affected by weather. Defenses rarely are. And
defense is more of a unit than offense, which is more of stars.
Just quarterback pressure is the number one thing against good quarterbacks, and Denver's got it. The Vikings have it. The Rams have it. And we're turning back the clock a little bit where these top defensive teams are leading the league.
It starts to swing back and forth in spite of all the rule changes that have fucked defense. But we'll start to see fishy penalties for roughing, for defensive holding. Think of the Peyton Manning era, where everybody who sneezed on a receiver was called for illegal contact.
But out of the games you've watched, that's way down. That's a good point. Like, that's way down from past years.
But it's going to come up again. Especially as the league office continues to panic about television ratings. And they're completely wrong, though. What started to penetrate was people were sick of seeing 3rd and 21, illegal contact, 5 yards, automatic first down. That's what people hate, NFL. That's what they fucking hate. As viewers.
Like, outside the top tier receivers, do we have a lack of talent at the receiving position? Or is it the quarterback position?
It's quarterback. I don't think we have. I can name, if you wanted me to, I could name like a dozen second-tier receivers who look really good. At any point in the league's history, there have only been a half dozen guys like Julio or Beckham or Green, these transcendent guys. It's never been more populated than it is now. But
is it more populated because of the way the offenses are run?
Here's the thing. The safe thing to do for an offense is dink and dunk. Everyone's trying to do what Belichick does with zero talent. Even if they have talent, they're all doing it. Arians had great success last year going vertical. Now that he doesn't have a quarterback who can do that, that's falling apart.
And that was a good call by you on Palmer. Yeah. Because you said that in the preseason. That you thought he was done.
I think he is. I think he's broken.
It looks like it.
But nevertheless, now McDaniel in Pittsburgh, they're airing it out. Yes, you can do it if you have the talent and the courage of the offensive coordinator. But most guys, all we're seeing is what the Chargers do. And the Chargers wouldn't have done this without the ridiculous injuries. But all you're seeing is passes under 10 yards.
Well, that's what Minnesota tried to do tonight. Everything was fast and quick.
Yeah.
So,
and the Giants as well, from what you've said.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Giants were throwing everything quick just to keep the pass rush down.
Yeah. Well, and you have to. I mean, the Chargers kind of stumbled into that because we had an O-line composed of sterno bums and recently released pedophiles.
That might be a little strong. No, but what that does then is, to me, that plays more. I would take the odd sack to stretch the defense out, because that, to me, that plays into a good defense's hands.
It does,
and it's essentially you're giving them the pass rush because you're still throwing the ball in 2 seconds, so I don't have to cover anybody for any length of time. That's what the pass rush does, is throws off that, is makes you hurry the throws and speed up your everything, throws the timing off. So when you're throwing everything 8 yards, you have to be flawless on offense to sustain any kind of drive. I would give up a sack to take more shots deep with Beckham.
Well, yeah, and you could do that occasionally, and the Chargers did when we had Malcolm Floyd. He was that deep shot threat, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Giants.
Ever had three.
We're off that game. I know you're pissed off. But the Giants, their game plan in this game stunk. And they carried on through all 4 quarters.
Well,
it wasn't just, it's not work. It's okay, we'll try it in the first half. It wasn't working in the first half. And like I said, their big play was on a screen pass. Well, you're not going to get those all the time. You have, if I'm the Giants, I have to think Beckham Jr. can beat your corner a couple of times in a game. Or get a penalty or something.
Or you get so conservative against it.
But that's what I'm saying. They play it, regardless of what they were trying to protect Eli Manning from. Because you're throwing it so quick, it's acting the same as having a dominant pass rush in your face all night.
It's an interesting equation, and I don't think you're wrong. It's something I got to think about a bit.
Well, okay. Well, if I'm throwing the ball in 2 seconds, that's essentially the same as me saying your pass rush is getting to me in 2 seconds. So everything's in a rush.
Yeah,
right.
Because
so
even by their very best 40 times, no one's getting the ball at 30 yards in less than 3.5.
No. So you're playing into the defense's hands there too. I would take my chance and devise my blocking scheme. If I have a receiver as talented as Beckham Jr.
Oh, you've got to go to him. But I think...
And I devise my game.
I think he's out of control, by the way. I think he's turning a bit into Moss.
Yes, a little bit. But do the Steelers, doesn't matter what pass rush they're playing, do they take a shot with Brown a couple of times a game? Yes.
Yeah, but also here's the thing. Brown will play in the slot. Brown will play inside. He'll do outside. He's like a total package. I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I watched that Steelers Super Bowl on YouTube over the summer. And I'm looking at Emmanuel Sanders and a rookie Brown. Do you know who I thought would be the superstar? Sanders. Who, by the way, is excellent. This is not meant to be a diss on him. I love him as a football player.
Well, Sanders was more like salary cap. They had to choose between one of the two.
Yeah. But did you... I watched this, and you can see flashes of talent. But even watching him play, I had no idea what he would become. But he really is selfless. He'll play anywhere and do anything. He's fucking great.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. We're now at an hour 27. We got to wrap this up.
Wrap this puppy. Okay, you can check out the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher for your Android device, on our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines for any updates to the blog posts or when a new podcast is available. Our personal Twitter accounts at OLinesMarlon or at OLinesBoyd. Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to send us an email, it's offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. And that was our recap of Week 4. A winning week.
You win some, you lose some.
Degenerate fucking gambler.